the situation that I guess led to Mitch Marner deciding that Toronto was just no longer the place for him and his family.
Yeah, I mean we kind of heard that he's dealt with a lot of like scrutiny, and he hears it probably the most. And it doesn't surprise me that can wear on somebody, because when you're constantly around it, it's hard not to, some people say, I'll just ignore it. When it gets so personal, right? And you hear how bad it kind of got for him, you can understand why it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and it can, sway your, how you feel about playing in a certain place as well. I can totally understand where Marner's coming from. I know that there's also the argument of, some of it, when it comes to how far fans took it, you can never go as far as, you should never go as far as what some of the fans had done.
Yeah.
But the narrative around Marner, it's a narrative that was brought upon by things that are said and actions that have been done. Not just by him. I'm not saying it's him, but it's the way the agent, what Darren Ferris has said, right? Things that are, that contract sign that he had changed. That's where the narrative flipped.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like, he was a darling here for the first few years on the rookie contract, and then he dug his heels in and he got paid. And then, it's not that he didn't live up to the contract, but the team never found success. And I think it was because overall, all four of them collectively, the core four, making as much money as they did, everyone kind of looked at it and said, you can't win that way. You can't build a team so top heavy. And it was proven year after year that they couldn't, because they did not win. And when those four players were shut down in the postseason, which happened quite often, there was no one to prop them up, right? There was no secondary scoring, and there wasn't good enough defense and goaltending to really combat the lack of scoring. Now, this past season, they did finally get some good goaltending, and I think they have the best blue line that they had in the Marner era, but still wasn't enough, and they ended up getting eliminated in round two at the hands of the Florida Panthers for the second time in 3 years. And apparently there was some stuff that went on off the ice with Mitch Marner and his family that kind of led to him deciding that being in Toronto just was not going to be in the cards for him and his family any longer. We're alluding to what was done and what was said. Why don't we play the audio clip? Exactly what kind of, over the line measures that took place within Leafs Nation that kind of forced Mitch Marner to kind of leave.
Because my wife's father called me and goes, I just want to let you know, we've got people sending us screenshots of a guy posting your address online, saying that if people want to come pay us a visit and say, their goodbyes in a quotation way, here's the address. And it was a little tough, obviously. I mean, we kind of dealt with it for the last 2 years in a way. I mean, the market's very passionate. They love the team. I mean, I know it. I was born and raised there. I've been a part of the Leafs Nation for a long time. But when your family safety comes into question, especially having a new son, I don't think it's acceptable. Having full-time security pretty much at your house for 2 weeks after the playoffs just to make sure no one's coming to the house. Also the safety-wise of trying to walk your dog and your child. So it was a little unfortunate, but yeah, it's, we all deal with this stuff. It's just sometimes it happens. Because my wife.
Well,
That's tough to hear.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen. That's disgusting. Like what's gone on. Like, at the end of the day, this is a game, people. Like, this is a game. Like, I know a lot of people, like, the Maple Leafs are their life, and they want to celebrate. They want the team to win so bad, but to send death threats to dox Mitch Marner online and send threats and potentially have people go. I guess there's some stuff that was thrown onto his lawn apparently as well, and that's just way overboard, way over the line, and no wonder he didn't want to stay in Toronto. Like, I wouldn't want to either if that's kind of how people were treating me, my property, my family, especially with a newborn baby. You don't want to be around that. After hearing that, I completely understand way more now why he left and why he was so kind of stubborn about not wanting to really engage with contract talks here in Toronto. He wanted to run away from the madness, and I don't blame him after hearing that, to be completely honest with you.
I don't, and you know what? The only thing I will blame him on is if it got bad, I look, I get it. It's home. It's tough to leave. But if the Leafs had offered him an opportunity, you know what? If it makes sense for us to move on and for you to move on, let's find the solution that's best for both sides, right? I think, look, in the end, they did eventually get something, but he was saying it's been going on for a bit. Like, this isn't something that happened.
No, I'm sure after every playoff where he failed to live up to his end of the bargain, there are many hooligans and idiots out there that obviously were either DMing him things, or maybe they found out where he lived and went through stuff at the lawn. Maybe they saw him walking the dog, saw him at the grocery store, and gave them some not so nice words. I'm sure that did happen quite often, realistically, and it should never happen. Like, I mean, the guy tried. Like, let's not act like he was out there and just completely dogging it. Like, he tried. He wanted to win with the Maple Leafs. He wanted to win so bad that I think it hurt him a little bit. He was overthinking things. He put too much pressure on himself, especially later in series, and ultimately it led to the poor play. I think it just came from literally trying too hard to bring a championship to Toronto. And to hear that the fan base, or whoever it was, whether they're fans or just idiots out there, reacted the way they did and kind of went after him and his family, it's hard to hear. It's disgusting, really. It's that there's no place for that at all in society. Like, not sports, not in Toronto, now, just in society at all. There shouldn't be a place for anything like that.
No, there shouldn't be, and it's a little disappointing that, and I think that there was a report that it was like a kid in Oakville that they found, they actually found the person that
Doxed them.
That leaked his address, which, come on. I don't get going to that extreme. You can say whatever you want about the person, saying how they didn't play well or things like that. But just leave the personal stuff out of it, especially when it's not even about. I'll even take Marner out of the equation here. Imagine how, as he's mentioned, newborn baby, wife, and the family, right, that has to hear about their stuff being leaked online, right? And I know the area. He's literally he lived down the road from me, right?
Yeah,
I know